did tidal energy, and it's powered by the obviously, but tidal energy, it's a young field, but it's hopefully getting a lot of new innovations and new technologies that will help incorporate itself more into Bridgeport. So it's not totally there yet, but it's coming. This is just explaining that the different how tides work, spring tides and neap tides. Obviously, in the next slide, it'll show the different efficiencies of the tides, but when the sun and the moon and the earth are all lined up, there's obviously a greater gravitational force between the moon and the sun combined to the earth. Here they shows like new moon least efficient, and as you get to the full moon, as it showed before, it's the most efficient because there's the most gravitational pull towards the water on the earth, and that's what moves. This is showing the different locations, like real estate, location, location, location. And that's why Bridgeport isn't necessarily great. As you can see, like the tidal influences aren't as great as they are over like near Great Britain and up near Alaska. And Great Britain's actually like one on the forefront of using tidal energy and has the most technology.
The reds are the best?
Yeah.
Red? Okay.
This is just simply what a turbine looks like, but there's obviously much more complicated ones than that. This is just to show this is mostly used in like tidal streams, like where the water is just like an open water stream both and forth, back and forth. But there's different systems that I'll get into. Another way to anchor them, you can anchor them like this, which is, I think, better almost if you were to use them in Bridgeport. But that's just because like then with all the commercial stuff that goes on there and stuff that they can be moved if they need it to be or changed once that they find a better spot. Just easier, I think. This is to show the size and why what you were talking about, it would be hard to implement them into Bridgeport just because of the water depth and all of the activity that goes on there. But what some group in Maine is doing like offshore tidal energy, like harnessing, so like far away and then they just wire it back. So this is a tidal barrage, which is just like a big wall that really just catches it on the basin side as the tide came in, and then it takes longer for it to flow out because it forces it through where the turbine is, and then that's what spins the turbine. A lot of them are very similar to this. As you can see, this is a tidal lagoon. A tidal barrage would be like just the wall, but a tidal lagoon catches it. This can be man-made or natural, but as the water comes in, it sits here, and then it comes out as the tide goes out. It's forced through the turbine, which turns the turbine and harnesses the power. These are the different parts. As you can see, Great Britain's
They're claiming it.
very ahead of us. But that's just because they have more tidal power than the U.S. But hopefully the technology will allow us to harness smaller amounts. This is similar. This is just a different depiction of what it could, a way to harness the power through a tidal lagoon or a tidal barrage. But either way, like the water source. This is the edge of a tidal barrage, like which is just a wall, and the water goes across, comes back. All right, this is it on the other side. See how it's high tide on the outside, and when it's high tide, it works both ways. The water flows both ways, and as it fills, it uses that harnesses the energy, and then it goes back out, harnesses the energy. This is just showing different parts in the world where the technology is starting off and where they have better resources to do so. The UK represents about 50% of Europe's tidal energy capacity. That was just showing how they do have a strong tidal influence, and that's really why they're coming on strong with it. And to do with location, being in the Long Island Sound and being where Bridgeport is, the tidal energy is smaller than in the UK, but it still averages like a difference of 7 feet per tide, which is fair enough if you put them in the right location, they can harness energy. This is another tidal lagoon, but in Swansea, which is like in the Wales. It's a major city. And this is, I think, a proposal they have for a tidal lagoon, just showing that as how the tide would change. And it's not that big of a difference. Another depiction of the tile lagoon showing that it's either man-made or natural. Either way, it'll work. Just the base. There needs to be a basin that fills and then it empties out. And they do have effects on the wildlife, but not as much as you would think because the turbines turn slowly, but they just take up space. All right. Here in Bridgeport, I'm not totally sure with everything that's on the waterfront, like everyone else has been doing, all the projects and stuff. But I was thinking that like Tile Lagoon or different, there's new turbines that someone invented that I'll come to that are easier to put in shallow water. And this just shows the efficiency of when the tides change and how much energy can be captured through tile barrage or tile lagoon when it empties or fills. This is what I was talking about. The engineers in London and in Maine, both like you had above the highway, they turn at a right angle of the flow rather than with the flow, which makes it easier and can make it smaller and put them in shallower water to harness power that way, which is I think good because like the more systems that come about, the more technology, and then it'll be able to implement them easier. And these are just all the renewable source, which is why it needs to be innovated and put in the bridge.